I am going to begin a new chapter today. As we planned, here I go. Chapter number 3. First chapter is called as number representation. Second chapter is called as computer Boolean algebra and computer hardware. And third chapter is concepts of object-oriented programming. Concepts of object-oriented programming. Right? Here I begin. What is this OOP? We call object-oriented programming. There were plenty of programming way of doing. We started with the procedural programming. The first programmer called as Lady Ada Lovelace. She was the first, she wrote the program, right? Whose name was, her name was Lady Ada Lovelace. Ada Lovelace was her name. She was ordered with this. You know, over was lady means it's an honor. Okay? Knighthood is given to somebody, right? So that name, programming name of the programming language was Ada. It's named after her. Okay, like we have Java, we have Basic, COBOL, Fortran, Pascal, C, C++, C#, then Ingress, Oracle. Variety of programming languages are there. The first one is called as, which was the first programmer of the world, is called as Lady Ada Lovelace. It's named after her. The programming language is called as Ada, ADA. She said the procedure, people simply follow the same procedure. That's why it's called as procedural languages. That's why it's called as procedural languages. After the procedural languages, then the new concept evolved, is known as modular language. If there is a huge task, divide them into various modules. Divide them into various modules. Okay, it's called as modular language. Then the present, these days, any language which has got 5 qualities, I'll tell you in a while what is the 5 qualities. Data abstraction, data encapsulation, data abstraction, data encapsulation, inheritance, modularity and polymorphism. You will not understand what are they. If you have these 5 qualities, that particular language is said to be an object-oriented programming. An object-oriented programming. Right? Here. Now, first of all, we started conveying. We used to give the command to computer in a high-level language. Whatever we do is called as high-level language. But computer won't understand. Computer understands only low-level language. So to convert from high-level language into low-level language, who does this? This is done by a compiler or an interpreter. Compiler or interpreter. Okay? We'll be using either compiler or interpreter, one of the two. But here in Java, okay, we use both. We use the compiler as well as we use the interpreter. I'll let you know detailedly in due course of time. Today let me introduce, okay, the different way of programming paradigm. What do you mean by programming paradigm? Programming paradigm means organizing the principles of program. Organizing the principles of program. It is an approach of a programming. For example, if you are given a task, in a class somebody gives a task. The task is solved by variety of ways and means. One who does quickly and effectively and correctly, the person is called as, what we call, the best performer. Right? What I am trying to tell you is, these days, the concept of programming is unlike procedural or modular programming. This is an approach called as what? Object-Oriented Programming, OOP. Right? Object, why? Why do we approach this? What is the necessity of using this OOP? The reason is very simple. The complexity of programming is keep increasing. To cope up with the increased complexity, the programming standard also has to go up. So today's day, current day, increasing complexities cannot be dealt by the procedural programming or modular programming. The researchers, they went on inventing an approach, okay, which is object-oriented programming, right, to meet the current day demand. What is the current day demand is? The programming complexity has gone so high. So the whole day programming like Basic, COBOL, Fortran, Pascal, C will not meet the current day complexity. What do you mean by complexities? These days the programming has become too complex. For any silly things we use the program, right? Programmer programs or utilities or the app, whatever you call it. To meet the current day need, so we have to have a new approach. This approach is known as what? Object-Oriented Programming. Okay, to understand the most recent concept of programming paradigm, let us take an example. Here they are given the example. I am doing chapter number 3. They are given some exercise in the example. Everything you are going to look at in terms of object. Everything you are going to look at everything in terms of object. Example. I am surrounded by full of objects. Each object has got its own utilitarian value. For example, here is a piece of chalk, here is a blackboard, here is a green board, here is a chalk box, here is a table, chair. Each one has got its own state. Each one has got its own behavior. Chalk is meant for writing. Chalk is normally very thin in size so that we can hold it. If it is thick, we cannot hold. What is the state of the chalk is? Thin in size. What is the purpose of chalk is? To write. Right? What is the state of the board is? Which will be square or rectangular in shape. Possibly white board, possibly black board, or possibly the green board, whichever of this. Okay, this is the state of the board. What is the purpose of the board is? Whatever we write, which displays. Take a table. Normally the table has got 4 legs and a top, which is the state of the table. What is the purpose of the table is? So that we can organize the things and keep things on the table. Like everything has to be looked at in terms of object. That's why it's called as object-oriented programming. I'll define what is an object. An object is an identifiable entity. An object is an identifiable entity. Okay? With certain state and with certain behavior. An object is an identifiable which has got its own characteristics or state we say, and it has got its own behavior. Okay? 2 things are there. 2 things are there you need to understand. Everything we are going to look at in terms of objects. That's why it's named as object-oriented programming. Right? This is the focal point. Okay? You are here, you are attending this class. The object is, what's your object is? Just to clear ISC 2023. So 22, right? Your object is what? To attend these classes or the physical classes or the virtual classes, just to know this and clear your ISC 2022, okay, successfully. That's really the object of your listening to this class. Exactly. When you write the program, think of what is an object. Don't bother about the background details. Okay. To call the language as an object-oriented programming, you should have 5 qualities: data, abstraction, Number 2, data encapsulation. Third one is inheritance. Fourth one is modularity, and fifth one is polymorphism. I'll tell you, boys and girls, what are they? I'm going to explain this and wind up today's class. You need to know. This is a purely theoretical chapter, nothing. Unless you know this, we cannot go to the next chapter called the Java Fundamentals. Right? As I told you in the previous class, today is a second video after a certain gap. Right? I'll be posting another 3 more or 4 more videos, and I'll let you know the syllabus for your annual examination. Right? Look out for your online video classes. The questions will be purely based on the online classes, right? From today, that is 2nd of December, no physical classes are taking place, right? Now here I go. What is this data abstraction? You can refer page number 101, 101. Data abstraction refers to act of essential features, okay, without including the background details or background explanations. What do you mean by that? Okay, I'll cite a simple example. You go to a cinema theatre, the purpose is what? Just for an entertainment for 2 hours or 2.5 hours at most 3 hours, right? You go, your seat should be comfortable, you are assigned a seat, you go and sit there. You go there to cinema theatre to watch only the film on the big screen, that's it, right? You don't bother about what is behind the screen. You don't bother about what is behind the screen, right? What is your intention is, go, watch the movie, or to a cinema theatre and come back. Afterwards you may pass on your thoughts, the good film or bad film or tragic or happy ending, that's up to you. The purpose of going to cinema theatre is just to have an entertainment for 2.5 hours or 3 hours, right? Just your object is what? See the screen and come back. But we don't bother too much what is behind the screen. How good the seat was, right? How good the air conditioner was. This all is there, but still we don't bother about it. You go there to watch a film for a specific period of time. Right? Here I go. Data abstraction is nothing but what? To focus on the essential features, not bothering about the background explanations or background details. Second I go. Data encapsulation. What is encapsulation? Before I teach this, I'll tell you what it is. Those days, programming were given a huge weightage and data were not given enough weightage. Data operators are not looked down upon, the programmers are looked up. But these days, both are given equal weightage. Without data, program is useless. Having the data and without the program is useless. Only the program without data, it again is useless. What I am trying to understand is both of them are given equal weightage. To combine the method or program and the data into a single wrapping up of the data members and member functions. In other words, data and the program into a single unit is known as data encapsulation. Data encapsulation. And the third concept, these are all the concepts of code. Third one is called as inheritance. What is the inheritance? Is reusability of a code What do you mean by reusability of the code? I'll give an example. Today I write a program which is there in my hard disk, in my computer, right? Maybe after 3 months, I happen to do the same program. I need not to rewrite the program. The programming time is very, very expensive. So what happens? The program, the same program which I done 3 months ago, that can be used again. It's called as reusability of a code. Okay? One program, other program, what happens is, they can inherit the properties. I'm going to give an explanation for that. So, we call superclass, subclass. Subclass taking things from the superclass is called as, superclass means main, which gives. One more result is called as subclass. Some author they say. Some author they say base class and derived class. Base class is the one which gives. Who receives? Derived class. Some they say superclass and subclass, some they say base class and the derived class. Okay? So the subclass or the derived class inherits from the superclass or base class. That concept is known as inheritance. Okay? The next one is called as modularity. What is modularity is? Modularity is nothing but the huge task made into tiny, small modules and combine them into single piece. For example, I am going to write a program of 1000 lines. It's very difficult for me to type a program and run the program every time I run the program, plenty of mistakes will come. Instead of writing 1%, 1000 lines, I divide this 1000 lines into 10%. First 100 lines. One task is for program number 1. Second task is for program number 2. Third task like this 10 programmers are there. Right? So each one will run their program. Then I combine them together. So module means piece of code. All the pieces, bits and pieces when you combine together, then it becomes a one programming. Here I go. The last one is called as polymorphism. Polymorphism means, poly means many, morphism means changing. Only one program will behave at a different place in different way. Right? Polymorphism is the ability for a message or the data to be processed in more than one form. Right? I'll give once again this example I keep giving to my children. Somebody is sending a message, we call chat message, right? Right? For example, BSNL is sending a message. When the BSNL sending the message, what do is? They send the message, okay, I take it. BSNL wishes happy and prosperous year 2021. I receive it. Second person receives, third person and fourth person. Many of them they receive it. What do they do it? The moment I receive it, I don't react. Oh, this BSNL service is not good, I don't react. The second person is, at least they have the courtesy of greeting me, so they send the reply. Third person, what do they do it? Third person, what do they do it? They also react. Some they react. Only one message, it goes to various people, each one reacts in different way. Okay? Similarly, a data will behave in a different forms, which is known as polymorphism. Okay? So, let me recapitulate what I said so far. What is an object-oriented programming paradigm? What is the programming paradigm is? The organizing programming principles. Whatever maybe the principles are there, we have to organize them. After organizing the principle, right? It's a way of programming approach. It's a different way of programming approach. It's called as programming paradigm. Right? We had a different programming ways. Procedural programming, modular programming, structural programming, object-oriented programming. The latest trend is called as OOP. A language like C++, C#, Python, Java, these are all the languages, right? Are known as OOP, object-oriented programming. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? The meaning goes like this. object-oriented programming, if you want to call a program, Java is object-oriented programming because it should satisfy 5 conditions. It should have the quality of data abstraction, it should have the quality of data encapsulation, it should have the quality of inheritance, modularity and polymorphism. What is data abstraction is? What is the data abstraction is? Your, what you call, focal point. Your object should be in one way, don't bother about the essential features, don't bother about the background explanations or background details. Second one is data encapsulation. What do you mean by data encapsulation? The data encapsulation means the data and the programming, combine them as a single unit. As a single unit, which is called as what? Which is called as encapsulation. What is the other one is inheritance. As I told you, if we have a superclass, here we call this a subclass. Subclass, this is the properties from superclass. This we call it as a superclass, or some author may say base class. This is called as subclass or derived class. Class B receives from class A the properties. It's called as inheritance. What does the modularity means? A huge task, divide them into pieces of code, then combine them. Okay, each piece of code is known as a module. Okay, that's called as modularity. And polymorphism is what? Polymorphism is the ability for a message to be represented in more than, or represented or processed more than one form is called as polymorphism. That is what this is what you can see. Kindly go through the page number 105. Let us revise. You have all the definitions put together. Okay. Next class I will begin the introduction to object-oriented programming language called as Java. Okay, boys and girls? We shall do this in the next class. Take care of yourself. Keep attending this is a theory class, nothing to copy now. Okay, whenever there is a programming or essential things, I tell you, pause the video and copy down. Okay, boys and girls, take care of yourself.